Welcome back to the show. So my new book, the new Manager Playbook, comes out on January 27th, and I could not be more excited for the launch. This book really was born out of a need. Folks asking me, what resources do you have for new managers? What tools do you have? How can I give something really kind of simple, easy to apply, really tangible and relatable? Welcome to the Managing Made Simple podcast, where you get a masterclass in managing your team with ease in 15 minutes or less. I'm Leah Garvin, your host and team operations consultant. Through this show and my programs with small businesses and corporate teams, I condense a decade of experience driving team operations in some of the most influential companies in tech into strategies to save you time, money, and most of all, stress. Doesn't matter if you're a business owner who realized that running a team isn't as easy as you thought it would be, are a new manager learning the ropes, or are a seasoned manager ready to up their game. Everyone is welcome to hang out with Managing Made Simple. From conflicts to feedback to delegating and more, we leave no stone unturned when it comes to what makes us love managing, kind of hate it, and everything in between. Let's go. I wanted to put together the guide I would have wanted when I first started as a manager. Something that talks about the goods, the bads, the highs, the lows, and gives a ton of exercises and tools to just help us practice. So that is what it is, the new Manager Playbook. It comes out January 27th, and I could not be more excited. It's also super exciting today because I'm coming at you from Miami, from my hotel room, where later this afternoon, I'm going to be doing a workshop with the FIFA organization. And this is so awesome. So a listener of the show who was an HR leader at FIFA reached out to inquire about how I could bring some content to some of her teams. And, this is really where the magic happens. I know folks listening to this show, there's a ton of stuff that I talk about, tools and different practical strategies, but, really being able to translate that and bring it to you in person, that's really the sweet spot. And so if you're listening to the show thinking like, hey, I could use some hands-on support for my team, reach out because I love coming in person. We dial it in super custom so that it's as relatable and actionable as it can be for your specific team and company, because everything has its own nuances. And then we just roll up our sleeves and we work through it. I love doing work in person with teams. I love doing it virtually too, but in person is really a fun option that can help bring people together and really put some currency in that relationship bank. So again, if you're listening, you're like, oh wait, I want to bring you in, then reach out, hello@leagarvin.com, and let's do it. All right. So, today I want to talk about, well, why did I write this book in the first place? I mentioned that there was a lot of, people were asking me for some resources and for tools, but it was also came from a lot of the research that I was doing and articles I was reading as I was preparing for things like putting together this podcast. And I saw a stat that just kind of stopped me in my tracks. And that was that the top 2 reasons that people become managers is 1, tenure in their role. So they've been in their job for a long time, or that they had past success in their role. Well, that's great, that you were in a job a long time or you were crushing it as an IC, but neither of those were that they wanted to be a manager, were good at it, had any interest in it, and had the tools to be effective as a manager. And I was like, gosh, that's really sad because a lot of us become managers because that is the path that we are shown in a corporate company. I know that for me, working in big tech, really the path for advancement, unless you were some engineering genius, was to become a manager and amass people under you and grow a team and build a team and be a leader of a team. There really was not a lot of options outside of that. And so you just become a manager in a lot of our companies because that's the only route to promotion and to growing your career. But that doesn't mean that we wanted to or are going to be good at it. The way that we get good at it is actually learning the skills and practicing them. And so that really was the biggest reason why I said, okay, I can't just do the podcast. I got to put pen to paper. I have to give a tangible resource that, that can pair with workshops and trainings and with the show, because there has to be some reference that we look back at where we can really practice these things. Now, the other thing that kind of stopped me, I had been wrestling with and thinking about, what does it mean to be a manager and why is it so hard? Well, it's because for a lot of us, I know for my case especially, you become a manager and you're still an IC, you still have your old job and you still have expectations of doing a lot of individual contributor work. Meanwhile, you have taken on the job of leading people and managing team and coaching them and developing their careers and giving them feedback and growing them. And so you're doing 2 jobs for the price of 1. And that kind of thing, I just got to tell you, is becoming more and more unappealing, less and less appealing for managers out there. And something I'm hearing so often from middle managers, especially in the corporate world, is why in the world would I become a manager? I'm not getting paid more. I just have twice the stress there's no reason. There's nothing in it for me. And so I really want to kind of bring us back to what is in it for you. Why do we do this? And the biggest way to do that is to bring down the barriers that make it so hard. Because I think a lot of us think about managing and we think, oh, it means mentoring and coaching and developing people. And we forget about all the hard stuff that goes into it. And so then when we're faced with all the hard stuff, we're like, ugh, I didn't sign up for this, right? And so with this book, the new Manager Playbook, I want to bring down those walls, make it easier so that you can find out, like, do I like this? Am I good at this? And you can practice those skills right away without learning them at the expense of your team. Okay? So again, I'm going to be talking about the book and the weeks leading up to it and just giving you kind of little tastes and insights into what it's all about, because my goal is this becomes your go-to resource that says, gosh, managing doesn't have to be so stressful, so hard, doesn't have to burn me out. I can actually enjoy this and I can be pretty great at it. All right. Book comes out January 27th and I cannot wait to share more with you. See you next time.
That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Managing Made Simple podcast, where my goal is to demystify the job of people management so that together we can make the workplace somewhere everyone can thrive. With that said, let's spread the word. If you love this episode, please pass it along to someone who might benefit from it. See you next time.